All right, welcome back to another episode of My Third Eye. I have returning guest Julia and the founder and host of the new podcast, Cosmic Peach Podcast. So I want to encourage anybody to go check her out on all the major platforms. I believe she's on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, and probably all the others. So having said that, Julia, how are you? And welcome back to My Third Eye.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited about what we're going to be talking about today.
Heck yeah. I'm ready to get into some Da Vinci Code shit.
Me too.
So, where do you want to start?
Okay, so I have a slideshow for everyone.
Okay, let me, should be able to share your screen now,
Okay.
which this will be good because then I can throw this up on YouTube or BitChute and people can then watch it because sometimes, with the audio, it's
Yeah, it's a
hard to
lot
follow.
better if you're able to see what I'm talking about.
Right. So did you have fun last night?
Yeah, it was fun.
Good.
The drinks weren't very strong, but
That sucks.
all right, here we go. Can you see my screen?
I can. Now,
All right.
are we gonna start with him being like the inventor, or are we going down more of a different road
Yes,
with Da Vinci?
we're going to kind of talk about like his background and like who he was as a person, but not like how people assume, oh, Leonardo, the guy who painted the Mona Lisa. There's a lot more that is um not talked about that
Okay,
I kind of want to cover just to give like a background before we jump into like the Da Vinci Code kind of story.
actually, and before we do that, do you want to let people know, because I kind of skipped over that, where they can find you on social media for your podcast and where to get a hold of
Oh,
you if they want to be a guest on your show or anything like that?
right, right, right. Thank you, Ghost. So you can find me on Instagram at cosmic.peach.podcast. And if you want to come on the show, if you have something interesting, just DM me. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome.
So let's go ahead and get into Leonardo da Vinci.
All right.
So, Da Vinci was trained as a sculptor and a painter, but he actually ended up going into geometry and mechanical design, anatomy, and geology,
Okay.
which he was like a jack of all trades.
Right. Yeah.
So, he was one of the most brilliant minds the world has ever known. He was born in Vinci, Italy on April 15th. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
1452 in the Italian Renaissance time period. And of course, Renaissance is French for rebirth.
Hmm.
So this time frame was fiercely dominated by uh, the Roman Catholic Church. And I
Okay.
have here
Yeah, they're
little
they're
Vatican
nice people.
City and the little Renaissance era. All art was under the direct scrutiny of the church, and most artists of his day were painting images from the Judeo Christian Bible, while Leonardo's first piece was Medusa.
Oh
And
shit.
so yeah, this is kind of like what everyone else was painting at the time. And
Okay, yeah,
he
I'm familiar with the other paintings there. I didn't know that was his first painting was Medusa. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it was actually a sculpture. Really, it's a shield, as
Okay.
you can kind of see right here. It's like a shield, and he carved out and painted the Medusa head on the shield.
That's pretty
So
awesome
little
actually.
alternative, just right off the cuff. And then so Leonardo finished a painting for the artist he was a student of, and his name was Andrea del Verrocchio. And the painting is called the Annunciation, as
Okay.
you can see here.
Now, is there any other background to this painting other than he did it for um his
He
teacher?
was an apprentice under Verrocchio, and I guess Verrocchio painted the landscape, everything. He painted Mary here.
Okay.
And the only thing that is Leonardo's work is what you can see here, the angel.
Okay. Um,
And you can tell from the face. If you look at Mary's face, it's really delicate and feminine, but Leonardo, for me, I always look at like the lips and the eyes and the nose
mhm.
and the way he always does the hair and the hand. He always does a really significant hand gesture in his paintings.
Okay.
So this is definitely Leonardo's angel. Um
Is it
and the
just
painting,
me, or is the Mary figure almost missing half her fingers on her left hand? Like
yeah,
her
it's
right
it's like
hand.
their nubs. Do
Yeah.
you see that
Yeah.
right here?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Um, so this painting depicted the moment the angel came to tell Mary she would become pregnant with Jesus.
Mm.
And Leonardo, um, he was asked to finish the painting by painting the angel. And apparently, there were some tests that were conducted on this painting. And just to confirm that Leonardo himself actually painted the angel, and they confirmed that he did. But what also happened is when they subjected this painting um under x-ray, the angel that Leonardo painted disappears.
Really?
Correct.
How is that?
So Leonardo used a different type of non-lead based paint,
Ah,
which was not common for the day. They actually used like a egg based paint, and
okay.
it was a popular medium at that time, which is why when this painting is subjected to scans, the angel disappears because he used some kind of non lead based paint. But it's speculated, because Leonardo was notorious for hiding things in his paintings,
Hmm.
that he was leaving behind some type of message in the painting by signifying that this meeting between Mary and the angel never occurred.
Okay. Because that makes sense. Because I was sitting here while you're going through it, just kind of like looking over this whole picture, seeing if I can pick out any symbology or, obviously she's given, the peace sign, and then
Mhm.
Mary has those nubby little hands, but her right hands, their fingers look even longer, like her pointer finger and
They
middle
look
finger.
spider-like to me
Yeah.
almost.
Not that
But
I
it
mean,
is
I don't know if that
funny
has
that,
anything to do with it.
well, I mean, it's really up for interpretation, because who knows? Like, would he have known that if you scan the painting with that special paint that he used, the angel would disappear? I mean, he was a genius.
Right. I was kind of thinking along those lines, like, did he, like you saying that, did he do that knowing that maybe one day there'll be a technology that they'll, scan it and his
Mm-hmm.
painting will disappear in a like a magic sense. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and he was a heretic, so he always pushed the envelope on subjects like this. Like, he would have wanted people to know that he didn't think this ever happened.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
he's trying to tell us, like, yeah, sure. The angel came to Mary and told her she was pregnant with Jesus. Like, yeah,
Right.
okay. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
was kind of like his personality.
which makes sense. I mean, I don't know. We kind of got into that last night after you left on the tavern, a little bit about religion and what have you. So, you know,
Oh, dang, I'm sorry I missed it.
uh,
That
y-
sounds so interesting.
yeah, and I don't know. It just gets brought up. I don't know where everybody stands. They're all man-made religions and interpretations of what God or the
Mhm.
Jesus story or the Muhammad story or, Shiva, Hindu, whatever religion, but they all have so many similar ties. So I don't know. It was a good conversation, and it was nice to have because, like I even told my wife we had it, and she's like, "Oh
Mhm.
boy." I said, Why are you saying, oh boy?" And she's like, "Well, did you guys actually talk or did you argue?" I said, "No, we had a conversation." I said, "That's what the tavern's about. No, that's what
Mhm.
podcasting's about. You don't have to agree." I said, I have questions and I have different beliefs, and but I'm not going to tell somebody, hey, you have to believe in Jesus. You know what I mean? Or you have to believe in
Right.
Muhammad. No, believe whatever at the end of the day makes you happy. Believe what you want.
As long as you're a good fucking person,
Yep,
I don't care what you just subscribe to. I just want you to be a decent fucking person and have a little bit of a sense of humor so we can have difficult conversations and still respect each other at the end of the day.
absolutely.
And that's kind of where I come from, but I feel like this kind of stuff is interesting because you can see all the way back to like Leonardo's day. It was also kind of like a topic of conversation. Like not everybody agreed that this kind of stuff, like this is the one truth, you know?
Right. And we're still having
Y-
that conversation today.
yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to say. It's like we're still to this day we can't we can't figure it out. But so
The
during
famous image.
the years, oh what?
I said this is the famous image of the man.
Mhm. So from the years 1476 through 1478, Leonardo disappears from the historical account.
Mm,
And no one knows where he was or what he was doing during these years.
interesting.
And when he returned to Florence in 1478, he was on a whole new level beyond just art. He produced aerial maps of entire cities with incredible accuracy, and he designed and produced the world's first self propelled vehicle.
Really?
Look at this shit, Ghost.
Damn. Like these maps, like
This is
it
the actual city, and this is what he started painting.
that's
This is
unreal. Like how
before
would he get
flight.
that? Yeah.
This is before flight, Ghost. And look at this bicycle thing.
Yeah. That's
So you
wow.
disappear for 2 years, and then you have this unearthly knowledge of how to draw cities down to like the suburb
Right.
from like aerial. I mean, look at this.
It almost kind of makes you put some credit behind Tartaria. You know what I mean? Like how advanced was things back then? We're told everything was so simple, but I have a basic understanding of Da Vinci and being an inventor. And I mean, he invented the first like scuba diving apparatus and a whole
Mhm.
bunch of other
Mhm.
stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, where did he get this knowledge? And looking at the map down in the bottom right hand corner of what looks to be a Google image, and then his painting. I mean,
It's
it's
eerie.
yeah, it's spot on.
It's eerie, the accuracy. And why? Okay. He disappears for 2 years. Nobody knows where he's at. And then he shows up and he's got this like crazy amount of knowledge all of a sudden.
Hmm.
What was he doing?
I don't know. It reminds me of someone else that came into play later on by the name of Nikolai Tesla.
Oh, I love him. So, he invented machines centuries ahead of their time, and I believe that the Vatican took him in and showed him the forbidden knowledge.
Mm,
I believe they gave him access to the libraries that many whistleblowers have confirmed exist, and that is how he obtained this incredible burst of creativity.
I mean, look at the picture of the heart. And we're talking 1513
Wait
to
till I tell
1560.
you. Ghost, you ain't even gonna believe this shit. Listen. In the Vatican from 1513 to 1516, Leonardo began performing autopsies on cadavers in the underground catacombs of the city.
Hmm.
This was considered an act that at the time was punishable by death. It is said that Leonardo was brought from Milan to the Vatican to quote unquote paint, but instead started dissecting bodies to study the parts. Supposedly, this was forbidden by the Pope. However, I feel they knew exactly what he was doing and they were encouraging his endeavors. And in the 36 months Leonardo was at the Vatican, he documented and performed dozens of autopsies with incredible detail.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
telling me they didn't know what he was doing down there?
right. And
My ass.
the funny thing is, the Vatican, for being okay religious, has always had their hands deep in the science aspect of life. I mean, I think they have a telescope called Lucifer or something to that effect,
Yes.
or maybe a satellite. I forget what it is, but I mean, they've always eerily been involved in the science aspect of things.
Well, yeah, and if you think about it, like if you believe in like that they have underground like pedophilia cults or death cults or they're into like ritualistic behavior, the dissecting of dead bodies and like pulling their parts out and like looking at them, and that would be like right up their alley. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean?
Yep. Yeah, because
And so
I mean,
it wouldn't
it's not
surprise me.
looked down upon now, but back then, I mean, that would have been a huge red flag of
Mhm.
like being a heretic or Luciferian.
Sacrilegious.
Yes, big time.
Mhm. And so if you're going to sit here and tell me they didn't know what he was doing down there, I would just say my ass, because I feel like they probably they were enamored by him and respected him, and they let him come and like probably get into the library, and he might have seen like some Tartaria stuff and drew some maps,
Right,
or they gave him like express permission to come and do these autopsies or something. And I mean, that's my opinion. Somebody else might have another opinion about that, but I highly doubt that they didn't know what he was doing.
right.
So in um in his journal, he recorded his notes using a technique called mirror writing, or just writing backwards. So if anyone were to find his notes, they would not be able to decipher them. And he obsessed over every detail, let's see, of the Mona Lisa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it took him 16 years to finish this painting. Does it look like something that took 16 years? I mean, go look at it.
I mean, no, you know what I mean? And then that kind of ties into the Mandela effect that at one
Oh,
point
oh,
she wasn't smiling and now she kind of has a smile.
I literally have that in my
Oh,
notes
good.
because I said, am I the only person who remembers the Mona Lisa? Like, what is she smiling or is she not smiling?
Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah,
Look at
I
this
mean,
painting. She's clearly smiling.
yeah, she
She's
has a
smirking.
smirk. Yep.
But
And
it used to be like, "Oh, I don't think she's smiling," and then somebody else would be like, "Oh, she's definitely smiling." I was one of the people that was like, "No, she's not smiling."
I don't know. The corners of her mouth just kind of slightly curl up as if she's
Well,
just,
they do now,
yeah.
but this is a big Mandela effect for me because
Mm,
it is clear that she's smiling in the portrait, but I do believe this is it didn't used to be so obvious, you
right.
know?
I don't know. And it's not super, I mean, yeah, it's detailed for its time. I mean, the face and hands but like
Mhm.
the hair and the clothes and the background. I mean, I get it. It is aged, but it's not heavily detailed for something that would need to take 16 years unless he was working on other things and we just work on this here and there.
Right. But it's not like she's like a wrinkled old woman and you'd have to like get all the wrinkles down and like all the
Right.
little creases in the face, and she looks like a relatively young woman. Supposedly it was a portrait of a silk merchant's wife.
Okay.
I don't know. They never got the painting.
No.
And so it has been said that Leonardo always hides his secrets and symbols and messages in his paintings. And because he implemented mirror writing in all of his documentation, it is speculated that um, he used mirror painting in his imagery, and that you can find hidden details by inverting the images.
Mm,
So let's
shit.
take a look.
Yeah.
This is a Mona Lisa, and when you invert the image, what's that look like right there?
That looks like a alien or a reptilian. Uh,
Look like a damn reptile to me.
yep.
And
And when you
and
invert these, they have almost like a very dark, like Luciferian
hell
feel
yeah,
to
they
them.
do. Hell yeah, they do. Look at this one here of
Uh huh.
Mary with her arms around the baby Jesus, like
Yep.
in the halo thing that comes around her head.
And then there's two little horns above it.
Hmm.
But yeah,
And
oh,
then
that's just weird.
so then look at this. It looks like a man with like a helmet on,
Uh huh.
but the face is like reptilian.
Yep. And it's wearing it looks like it's wearing one of those old headdresses like you'd see in Egyptian
Right.
paintings.
Right. And
Like
then this looks
maybe it's
like,
Anunnaki or something.
ooh, yeah. And then
That looks like a
this looks like a
fucking UFO.
UFO,
Yep.
and then it's like coming down in like a skeleton face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Look at it. What do you think, Ghost?
It's I have I don't know. I'm lost for words to be honest with you because it's just so I don't know. It's like
Cryptic.
yeah, very.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you can see the painting, but then you can see it's almost like it's a shadowed being because like okay, you see that skeleton type of face with this elongated kind of neck, okay, and then it looks like the hands are kind of coming up in a certain way, but then it looks like it has like long dark hair and like this weird headdress on top of it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
With like the UFO on the top,
Yep.
and like the weird like little hands
Mm-hmm.
coming, like I don't know. This one creeps me out almost as much as the Mona Lisa one with like the reptilian. Doesn't it look like the reptilian has like a mitre hat on, like what the Pope wears?
Yep. Yeah, and you
Ooh,
see that in oh no, the other one's more like Egyptian, but yeah, like yeah, almost like the Pope, and then its little hands are kind of coming together, and it looks like energy's being passed back
yeah.
and forth between its fingers.
Yes, that's exactly what I saw too. You're literally saying the stuff that I had written down so I didn't forget.
Nice.
We have like the same, yeah, cuz
Yeah,
look at it.
yeah, it's weird.
Okay.
Hmm.
So,
Now these are some fugly looking people.
look at her, look at her. Okay, Leonardo is well documented in comparison with most other artists of his time. We have thousands of pages of his writing, but never anything personal. Leonardo was extremely private about his personal life. However, there were a few personal things he had written about himself right after his 2-year disappearance.
Okay.
In one of the very first accounts, he describes in his youth exploring and finding this huge, vast cave in the middle of nowhere. And he stated he felt terrified by the darkness and the vastness of this cave and what might be lurking within it, but for some reason felt compelled to go inside.
Hmm.
It is not described what was in the cave, but we can only assume that this was very significant to him because he never ever commented about anything in his own life story. And I again believe that contents maybe like been edited or something taken out, so we may never know what he truly found in the cave, maybe by the church. Maybe he
Okay.
did write what he saw in the cave, but they took it out. um because Leonardo began drawing these grotesque heads and depictions extremely opposite to his very close and careful, realistic human depictions.
Right.
Look at this shit.
That black and white one right in the middle, it looks like a little demon in the back, and
And a bunch of like holy pope looking guys.
yeah, and then they big heads and weird. They almost look
But you know
alien.
how how realistic he was and how it took him 16 years to paint the Mona Lisa, and then we see these like mirrored images because he was so meticulous with his painting. So what if these are actually sketches of something he really saw?
Could be. I wouldn't doubt it.
Because if you look at this veiny neck
Hmm.
and this bulbous head, like elongated heads.
And it looks like it has tentacles coming off instead of hair.
Mhm. And it this one to me, I picked this on purpose because it is said that like people of the nobility and royal families come from these elongated head extraterrestrials, right?
Hmm.
And they ended up being in the Vatican and they have like ancient bloodlines. And
Yes.
so what if they're like undercover somehow and they wear those big hats to like cover up their deformed heads and stuff? Because
That.
this one looks like she's got on a very nice dress and has this veil thing that look with the big brooch
Yep.
and like the veil coming down and like I don't know. What do you think about like and this one has a veil on too.
I think it's one of the ugliest women I've ever seen in my life.
You have
Because
to
like the
drink
face looks
72
like a
beers.
man, and then you scroll down and it looks like there's breasts. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, and then I don't know. If I saw something like that, I think I would fight and not flight.
Yeah, no, it's really creepy. And look at the like little wispy hairs.
Hmm.
It's still detailed, like classic Leonardo, like the detail and like this demon thing,
Yeah.
but these guys' faces are realistic looking.
Hmm. Especially the
I don't know
one
what's your
to the
what's your
right.
take on that?
I, I don't know. I mean,
And
if we
like
go
in like the cave thing.
if we go down that path, I mean, that leads into rumors of hollow earth and beings actually supposedly
Mhm.
or reportedly living underground. And you hear quote unquote whistleblowers stating that, yeah, there are these reptilians that live underground, and never seen, only come up, and then there's, take it for what it's worth, there's video on the internet of um the Vatican, and they're like these cardinals and bishops and what have you are march, like doing a walk by, and there is like one of these big headed reptilian looking creatures walking by, and in the
Mm.
procession. I mean, take, like I said, take that for what it's worth. It could be fake, but at the same time it could be real, because the Vatican's into some really sketchy shit. And then my mind kind of goes, okay, maybe he had a weird dream, or he might have done some hallucinogenics or whatever, and just sketch these just out of something in his imagination. You know what I mean? Like, because we don't we don't really know, because obviously he's not around to ask, but it is
Mhm.
crazy that they all have very similar features, whether it's elongated, heads or bigger heads, and these big faces and noses and mouths, and then
Mhm.
real wrinkly. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, like just the distorted, I don't know.
Yeah. But then you look at the
Because
black and white one, the middle guy looks like something from Greece or Rome. You know what I mean? Like he's looks
yeah. Yeah.
like Caesar or something. He's wearing
Yes.
like a the headdress of like Caesar did.
Well, yeah, and it's just funny you say that because I thought, yeah. And it's like they're talking about something and then there's like a demon in the back. Like
Yeah,
it's just so creepy.
with his mouth wide open and his tongue slightly out.
Or it could be like a tortured person, who
Yeah.
knows? Like this the one guy looks like he's just got this look on his like evil look on his
Uh-huh.
face and there's like a tortured soul like
Yeah.
screaming in the back. I don't know. It's very very off-putting compared to like The Last Supper.
Oh, very, very.
And so odd.
Yeah. And speaking of Last Suppers, um, if you ever want to get into just an episode on that, I would suggest to reach out to Ron Weed and from
Mhm.
Imaginarium of Thought. He does some really interesting dives into that as
Oh,
well.
we gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it in part two, but I just
Good.
wanted to set up, like and and he might have something that I don't have, which is everybody has their own opinion, but
Yeah,
everybody likes to kind of focus on the Last Supper and the Da Vinci Code kind of theories, but
he comes at it from more of a numerology aspect of
right,
it,
right, right.
which is, I don't know, it's great. It's hard to to listen and not see the audio. It's a lot to take in.
Mhm. Yeah, I think was he on Ryan's show?
He was, and he was on with New York Patriot as well.
Yeah. I'm not a big numerologist. I mean, I do dabble in it a little bit, but I'm a lot more not a lot more, but I find it fascinating to kind of like pull him apart and kind of see what he was doing before the Last Supper and what
Right,
kind of led to his heretical depiction of things.
right.
Because the Last Supper, I mean, it's a big, huge fresco that's like on dollar store um placemats now.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and it's like if you say the Last Supper, everybody knows what you're talking about, but it's like, how did we get to that point, and why is it so pushed in our face? Because there is some creepy shit in that painting, and we look right past it.
Yep, absolutely.
So, um, there's some more right here
Oh
of
God,
the grotesque.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
have bad
wanted it.
dreams tonight. I thought ET was
Ye
fugly.
I mean, I just wanted to get the point across that, like, these are such, um
They have almost a demonic, especially the one on the
that's
very
exactly what I was gonna say. I was
left,
gonna say they have such a demonic feeling coming off of them.
like the orangish colored picture. Like he almost looks like Voldemort from Harry Potter.
Yes, with the flattened face,
Oh
but look at the curvature of the ear and stuff.
yeah, it,
It's
it
like I'm looking at a real it's like looking at a portrait of a distorted human being. Like
uh
there
huh.
even like the details of the neck and then like the elongated head and the flattened face. It's just disturbing to look at. And like they just have this like this one right here. This looked like a pope to me. Look at the garb.
A little bit.
Like
Got
the
the hat.
whatever,
Yeah.
you know how they be wearing them cloaks or whatever they're called.
Mm-hmm. And it's weird how that one image, the mouth isn't as big. It's more sunk in, but it's a very long nose with a head that goes back, where all the other ones have really big mouths and their noses are almost touching their lips. Well, the one is touching
Yes.
its lip, you know what I mean? And then the one on the far right isn't much different than the one on the left, only it's got
Mhm.
longer flowing hair and the ears are kind of more, they don't go to a point like an elf, but they're rounded at the top, but they're long like an elf.
It looks like a monkey person to me,
A little bit, yes.
like Planet of the Apes or something.
Yeah.
Which, like you said, like the Hollow Earth thing, like he might have seen these hybrid people like with these big elongated skulls and like distorted faces.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, he probably wrote about it. It was like in his notes he describes going into the cave and feeling scared of what was in the cave but feeling compelled to go ahead and go in, and then it's like dot dot dot, and then it's just like nothing else is written,
Right.
almost like it was taken out so we could never find out what he really saw when he went in there. And he never wrote anything about himself, so he must have thought it was significant enough to mention.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would you say like, oh, I was out and about, and I was walking through the woods and I saw this cave?
Yeah. And then nothing
The
else is
end.
ever mentioned.
Like,
But
yeah, he was
The
super
Vatican
private.
and the elites like to take a lot of things out of historical texts, such as the Bible as well. So.
To confuse us.
Mm-hmm.
And during this time, UFO phenomenon was documented in Europe and some parts of Asia, and the helicopter was actually credit to Leonardo's designs for vertical flight, which, look at this, man.
The disc with four beaming lights coming down, and then there's supposed to be almost
This is Jesus.
Jesus. Yeah.
What's that got to do with it?
Maybe he maybe he's saying Jesus was actually an alien.
Well, and like, look at this painting. And if you look right here, Homeboy is shielding his eyes
Uh-huh.
to look. Do you see it right there? He's
Yep.
shielding his eyes to look upon the UFO, because, and look at this, it's gleaming and glowing.
Uh-huh.
This was before flight. And then Leonardo all of a sudden comes up with this concept for a helicopter.
Right. And
Look
is that
at
supposed to be
this.
Mary? I'm
It is
assuming.
Mary.
Yeah.
And it's
With
always
a
in like
halo.
religious paintings.
It's odd.
So we have this beautiful religious, it looks like Jesus is healing someone. I don't know what's going on. I'm no scholar on paintings, but and so we have this crowd gathered around, and then a UFO with four beaming lights shining. What in the world?
Hmm. Maybe that was
And
him
why
saying,
doesn't anybody say anything about this? And the homeboy is definitely shielding his face to look upon this thing because it was obviously so bright,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like a smudge in the painting. Look how detailed that thing is.
Yeah. I mean, the only place I've ever seen the one with Mary, I don't recall seeing the one with the one with Jesus or whatever, but I have seen the one on the right on Ancient Aliens back in the day. And they're about
They
the only
always
people.
use this one
Yep.
in Ancient Aliens to be like, oh, look, they were painting, but they don't correlate that right afterwards. Leonardo comes up with like this concept for vertical flight,
Right.
and it's like somebody's giving them. I'm not a huge UFO alien person, but you gotta admit something's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I don't know. He. I don't know. I take it as he knew something more than what we did. What everybody thinks he did. You know what I mean?
He got like a course from the Vatican on
Yeah.
extraterrestrial 101.
Or hell, maybe he was abducted for those years and That's where he got his knowledge too. You know what I mean?
If he was abducted, I mean, because he has such heretical views on like Christianity and stuff, you would think that he would believe in like a higher power if something like that happened to him.
True.
But if the Vatican took him in and he got to see like the underground library or whatever, it might have, and then the church itself, like everybody reveres them and everybody looks up to them and there are heroes and there are holy people, but they have all this stuff in the basement, and then it's like all this hidden history and all these hidden secrets and all this forbidden knowledge. And if he got to look upon that, I feel like you would become an atheist.
Yeah, true. Very true.
You know what I mean? Like you would have no faith in anything. I wouldn't, because I'd be like, "Oh, so these holy people that we're supposed to rely on for our connection to our Lord are lying to us and keeping us dumbed down and ignorant of our own history and demonic and these ritualistic things that they do, and we're supposed to hold them in some kind of a high esteem." I don't think so. I
Right.
would be disgusted.
Yeah. Um, Makes sense. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it it's a form of control. At the end of the day, keep us dumbed down so they can control the masses.
And I think that there are UFOs. I believe it 100%. And I know people still encounter UFOs, but I'm more of like an interdimensional kind of person. I don't think they're coming from space. I think that they're coming from another dimension, or it's just like us
Extra.
from the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, because if we had this technology in Leonardo's time, so that's what I was going to get into, is like some of these inventions, because he was like 500 years before his time. This robot, that he created the first fully functional robot, and I guess he gave it to King Francis the First or something like that. But this lion like walked in. I saw it on like Ancient Aliens or something. It like blew my mind. I was like, wow, he really created this. But what they don't mention, they always have like, I feel like Ancient Aliens is like co-opted.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I
Like,
quit watching that years ago because of it. It was like, you get the dude with the big hair always saying the same shit. And they never, like you're saying, never, okay, they'll say about this lion or that UFO in the picture, but they never go into what, Leonardo might have invented or, deeper
mm-mm.
into it or where he might have got the ideas. They just leave it at that. Okay, look, there's a picture, and
Yes, exactly. You described it perfectly, because like they don't go into anything. If they say he was invited by the Vatican to come to wherever to paint, they'll just mention that and they leave it at that. They don't mention how it was an act of, crime to be doing autopsies, and like he could have been, punished, got the death penalty for. They don't see how that might connect that he was being allowed to do something like that.
right.
It's like conspiracy theories for dummies
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
Ancient Alien.
yeah, pretty much. You know what I mean? But hey, if it wakes some people up and makes them research it on their own, like you have, then maybe it was a
Yeah,
good thing. But it got like it got to the point where I was just like, it's the same fucking shit. You know what I mean?
it
Like,
is. They almost make it digestible for like the soccer moms.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know what I mean? It's like they give you a lollipop of conspiracy theories and you're like, "Oh, this is interesting." But then when you really dive into it, you're like, "This dude was doing what?"
Uh huh.
And you don't see how that might be like a demonic, like occult thing that he was doing.
Right.
But we won't talk about that because we're on the History Channel, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. We have other we have other intentions to push.
Um, yeah, and so he came up with the concept for the scuba suit and the tank and the hang glider, and Yeah, none of this stuff was duplicated until like 300 years later.
Right. And that underwater breathing scuba suit is creepy as fuck.
Look at that fucking thing, man.
Oh,
And this tank thing was supposedly like 360 fire, like it would go do 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 like all the way around.
okay.
And then it's like the hang glider person, and but his parents were not married, so he couldn't attend like the prestigious schools the other artists of his time had attended. So he saw, these visions of the future, and he had all this information, but he wasn't educated.
Right. Maybe
So
that's why
where did he
he
get
had
it?
this. Maybe that's why he had this passion to prove that. All right, motherfuckers, my parents weren't married. Fuck you. I don't need to go to school. I am smarter than you. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, that's just one theory. At the end of the day, I'm just a dummy too. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I will just give a little teaser, but Leonardo was infamous for painting himself into portraits, so there he is right there. Can you see him?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he painted himself into this portrait, and somewhere in here is like a weird disembodied like knife hand. I don't know if you can see it from this one, but
No, I
it's
can't.
somewhere around here, because you see how this guy's like got his hands up like whoa.
Yeah.
And then if you zoom in, I guess there's like a hand with a knife. Oh, it's right there. Do you see it goes?
Oh, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yep. Yeah,
This
it's
is
like a
like a
curved
guy's
blade.
hand with a blade in it, and this guy's like, "Whoa, don't stab me, homie. I didn't
Yeah.
mean to do it." Do you
But
see?
but he also has his other hand on Mary Magdalene.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But see, but his shirt's brown, and this dude's wearing blue. So it's like a weird, it's like this why I say it's like a disembodied hand.
Yeah. Yeah, because the people on the left are like, "Yo, whoa, what's going on?" And she's kind of leaning in, and it's like he's
Mhm.
telling her, you know, something.
Better be careful, ho, or I'll stab your ass.
Yeah, and then the people on the far right are kind of having their own conversation, almost like an argument over Jesus per se. And then
Yeah,
there's three
look
of them.
at Leonardo. Look at his face. And he's talking to this guy, and he's like, "Hey, listen to me." See how like his hand
Uh
is
huh.
like, "Listen to what I'm saying." And he's like, "No, but it's Jesus. Look, he's right there." And he's like his
And the other people on the other side of the table are like, "No, that's not Jesus." Almost. I never
it's
looked at it
very
this way. Yeah,
yes. And so I'm sure, did you watch the Da Vinci Code?
I did years and years ago.
Okay. So it's all about, Jesus has on uh the coral top with the blue cloak.
Hmm.
And this is supposed to be a young Peter or someone, but it's really Mary Magdalene.
Right.
And Mary has on the exact opposite with the coral cloak and the blue top. But I mean, we're going to dive into this in the next episode, but look how feminine this character is that's
Oh,
supposed to be
very,
Peter.
very feminine.
And you can see like she's got a rack. Come on now.
Hmm.
In the
Yeah.
long, like flowing hair and the delicate facial features. I don't know why this dude is got. Can you see my mouse?
Yep.
Okay, what is he pointing at? You know
I don't
how,
know. Almost
like I
looks like
said
he's
before?
giving him the middle finger.
Well, yeah, because remember I said before Leonardo is very um he's known for his dramatic hand gestures, like in the Annunciation with the angel, and he's got like his two fingers up.
Yep.
And so what's if you inverted this photo, I would love to know what you find. Like this is a dramatic hand, that's a dramatic hand. These are dramatic hands, these are dramatic hands. The all of them. Like if you took this photo out in like sliced it here or sliced it there or here and like inverted it, what it would look like.
Yeah. everybody but like one person, maybe two, Mary and the gentleman, not with his hand on her, but the one with
This
like,
dude.
yep, the one with more of a green, and the one all the way to the left are the
Mm-hmm.
only ones that don't have a very dramatic hand gesture, because the guy
Mm-hmm.
in the coral is reaching behind the other dude and tapping the dude that's
Mm-hmm.
whispering to Mary or whatever. Yeah, this is, never really looked at this painting this much. You know what I mean? Like,
I've stared at it for hours because I'm trying to do like my own investigation into it and not just like because the Da Vinci Code's a great movie, fuck Tom Hanks, but I
yeah,
mean, it's a great movie if you want to just like kind of,
get,
get the gist
yeah.
of it, but not it's a movie. I mean, they added some spices,
Oh,
of
absolutely.
course. But I want to know for myself because this image is so ingrained to everyone's mind that when they look at it, they know exactly what it is and they're like, "Yep, it's the Last Supper, whatever." Where's the chalice? Where is the Holy Grail in this photo?
Not there. Wasn't it?
Boom.
Wasn't it there before though?
No, God. That's what I'm saying. There's never been a chalice on this table.
Oh, maybe you're right. I always thought there was one kind of in front. You know what? Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but could be.
Maybe
Could
it's
be.
another Mandela
Yeah,
effect.
yeah. I always thought there was one kind
Show
of
me the
right.
chalice.
Yeah, it's not there.
Show me the fucking chalice. And everybody's like, this is the painting that gives you the Holy Grail, the chalice that Jesus drank of. But it doesn't exist.
No, doesn't.
Like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Everything that we think we know of is hand feeded to us, just like how you get this fresco as a placemat and you look at it every day on your dinner table. I don't know, you're probably really tacky if you have this as your placemats, but
Yeah.
you look at it every single day and you're like, yes, it's the Last Supper, and Jesus drank of the chalice and he said, drink of my blood and pass the chalice around. But it's not in the freaking painting.
And that's another thing with drink of my blood. Okay, take that literally. That's that's human consumption. You know what I mean? Like, even if he's not
It's
divine,
blood
or
drinking.
yeah, or if he is divine, why would I drink your blood? That's what vampires do. That's what demons do. You know what
And
I mean?
eat
Like,
of my flesh.
yeah, and they're people are like, oh, that just meant bread and wine, and it's like, no, no, it's not what it meant.
Not at all. It's really I hate to say everything's demonic because I sound like a Karen or so. It's demonic. It's demonic, but
Welcome to the
eat
Cosmic
of
Beach
my
podcast with Karen.
flesh. Eat of my flesh and drink of my blood.
Yep,
If you
that's
just heard that out of context, you'd be like, "Okay, what kind of freaky shit you into?"
mm-hmm. Yeah. You into eating humans? You into cannibalism? Like what? Like, get the fuck
And
out
it's
of
like
here.
I just got into a conversation with Davey Wavy from the Red Pill
Mm-hmm.
Cartel podcast, and we were talking about holidays. And I said, I listened to your latest episode, and I just want to let you know, like, I feel you on the holidays because it has nothing to do with Christ.
No.
But we celebrate them because we feel like we're meant to do so. It's just part of our culture. But why do we give each other gifts on Christ's birthday?
Well, the story goes because the three wise men brought gifts for little baby
Well, it was
Jesus.
the motherfucker's birthday. I don't get gifts on your birthday, Ghost.
Oh, that's true. That is
Like,
true.
why do we give each other a gift on Christ's birthday when every single thing he ever said was, I am the ultimate gift. I am the ultimate sacrifice. You need nothing other than me. You know, I went was slain. I'm the lamb that was slain. I am the ultimate gift, the ultimate sacrifice. But every year on his birthday, we empty our pockets to
Hmm.
go buy gifts we cannot afford to give to other people. And we
I
don't pray, we don't do any type of religious nothing.
No. And I think that kind of ties into where Santa Claus comes in, and who Santa Claus actually represents is Kronos. And if you dig a little deeper, Easter was the celebration of like fertility. And what would happen in these pagan religions and what have you is basically they would all get together and have these big wild orgies in order to have all these babies being born right around Christmas. And why is Kronos' belly so fat? Is because they sacrificed the babies to Kronos. He ate the babies. And then that got manipulated into um, Santa Claus and bringing gifts. And people like with Easter. Okay, he died on Friday, Good Friday, but he rose 3 days later, right? And that's why we celebrate
Mm-hmm.
Easter. Okay, we'll just say he died at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. Okay, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday would be 24 hours. 1 o'clock on Sunday would be 48 hours. That means we should be celebrating on Monday,
Ghost,
not,
you
you
took
know what I
the
mean?
words right out of my mouth.
Like but and the bunny and the eggs and you try to tell that to people and it's like, no, it's about well, then why is there a fucking bunny and eggs? Because bunnies fuck a lot and eggs
And
are the
eggs
symbol
are
of
fertility.
fertility. That's what it was stolen from the pagan religions. But
And so my husband and I went to Easter Sunday church because that's what he wanted to do with his mom, and I was
right.
like, yeah, of course, we'll, go to church with your mom. And so he gets through his whole sermon and, everybody's, yes, won't somebody praise him? Yeah, I
Yep.
get it. It's, you know, and he ends it with, all children 9 years and younger, please join us in the back of the church for an Easter egg hunt. And I was like, fuck everything you just said then,
Right.
you pagan motherfucker.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing that even I even challenge Colorado Dank on it a little bit, and I did last night as a friend because I know where he comes from things, and where I come from is most of all this, and he knows it as well because we were going to do an Easter show, and with my work schedule and his work schedule, it just it didn't happen,
Mhm.
which it is what it is, maybe next year. But all these holidays were taken from pagan and druid beliefs and just slightly changed and added in as a Christian belief. You know what I mean? Like with
Amen.
Christmas, with Easter, with you know what I mean? And people, I could go to work and talk to the one employee that's a huge Bible thumper, and oh my God, no, that's not true. No, it is, motherfucker. It is. Wh- Why don't you look into history and the Roman Catholic Empire that spread out to destroy the snakes in Ireland? The snakes, pagans and
Mhm.
druids. There were no snakes. They stomped out the pagans and the druids and then adapted some of their beliefs in order to convert the people or kill them if they don't.
Mhm.
Sounds like a great
Absolutely.
religion, but yet we
Yeah.
harp down on Muslim beliefs because they want to kill the non-Muslim believer, and it's like Christians did the same fucking thing. You know what I mean? There's not much difference.
What, not only did we do the same thing, but in a very mild way, Christians continue to do the same thing, because if you come up against a Christian and you question their beliefs, they will quickly tell you what a dog shit piece of ass, worthless human being you
Yep,
are.
and you're
And
going to
it's like,
hell.
what church do you go to? I'd love to come and visit.
Yeah, you
I'm
know,
so glad you're so full of love
yeah,
and
and
you're
they are
so
the
Christ
most judgmental and judgy people there are. Oh my God, you vape or you drink a beer or you smoke a cigarette or you you do this, and oh, you're going to hell. You have tattoos, you have earrings. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
like, get the fuck over yourself. You know what I mean? And I'm not dogging on anybody that listens to my show or your show, you know, on their religious
Mhm.
beliefs. I'm just dogging on the people that shove it down your throat and are so contradicting and do the opposite where okay, for example, the guy at work,
Hypocrite.
yeah, hypocrite. He's a big manipulator. He Okay, if you're so steadfast in your Christian belief, why do you speed everywhere and drive 10, 15, 20 miles over the speed limit? That's illegal. That's breaking the law. And that goes against, what it tells you to do in the Bible. And why aren't you telling all the truth? You just tell parts of truths and
Mhm.
because you're telling a little bit of truth, but leaving out a lot of the rest, which is a form of lying. And it's like, I don't have time for that. You know what I mean? But I do
Every
have time
single
for someone to sit down and have an honest conversation about beliefs and religion and where they stand. And if you want to believe in that, believe in it. If that makes you
Mhm.
feel good and it's going to take you to a better place, by all means do it. You know what I mean? I don't
Well, yeah,
care.
and I mean, every single thing we do every day is some type of a sin. I mean, like overeating is a sin, and
Which were
uh,
all created by man. All
well,
these
yeah, we're
sin
human.
yeah, all these sins were created by man. Even they say, "Oh God." Well, if you take the Moses story where he went up and there was a burning bush, that burning bush was an acacia bush. Okay, what's an acacia?
Mhm.
DM motherfucking T. So maybe he had a great DMT trip. You know what I mean?
Right. And my thing is like I'll respect you if you respect me, and
Exactly.
I will be the nicest person you ever met, or I could be the shittiest person you ever met. It just depends on your treatment of me. But I'm gonna approach you first with respect. I'm not gonna
Yes.
tell you have to earn my respect. I don't get it. I don't subscribe to that. I'm
Right.
gonna first respect you and wait to see how you respond to me. And if it's shitty, then fuck you because I just don't have time. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't have time for a holier than thou or anything like that. I love you and I respect you, and I'm all for you having your own right to thrive, and however that looks for you, I'm happy for you.
Exactly.
But don't be a hypocrite, and don't tell somebody because they've been living with their boyfriend for 3 years that they're going to go to hell or something like that when you go home and you eat a whole little Debbie box. And like that's
Yep.
also a sin. It's just as equally a sin to
Yeah.
overeat.
Overeat, you know, gluttony. Yeah. I mean, the list goes on with the hypocrisy. Used to deal with it in a personal manner, not so much anymore because my daughter's grown, and she's in college, so I don't have to deal with that aspect. And the relationship with her mom has gotten a little better. We don't talk as much as we used to, but it was just one hypocritical thought or statement after another, and it's just like, my God, like, how do people think that is living a good life? You know what I mean? When you're trying to, I'm a good person and I don't want it to be about me, but then you do everything to bring attention to make, hey, look what I did. Look, I did such a good deed.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I'm not
Well,
saying with
that's
her, but with anybody.
narcissistic.
Yeah, but with anybody. And it's like, God, come on. If I do
Mhm.
something nice for somebody, I might come home and tell my wife, hey, someone was at the store and, yeah, I could see that they might have been struggling a little bit with money. So, maybe I paid it forward, something like that.
Mm. Mhm.
But I'm not going to go sit there and get on IG or any other social media and be like, hey, look what Ghost did today. No, I don't need that
Right.
recognition. You know what I mean? Me
Or
helping
to
them
get
was
like a
enough.
constant pat on the back, a
Right.
constant pat on the back, like, "Look at me. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm such a good person." And then the second they get off Instagram, their kid's like, "Hey, will you play with me?" And they're like, "No, I'm watching my fucking show. Go sit on your tablet and learn how to be a
Yep.
a transgender."
Yeah, exactly. It's
I
just
mean,
drives you nuts.
no, it does. It's maddening, and I'm not digging on anybody's religion or anything, because my story goes, like, my family is extremely religious in the
Right.
Christian sense, and I do still go to church with them, or I still, I do find myself like praying. And it's not that there's not a higher power, or it's not that there's not, God, and if you believe in Christ, then your faith is a gift.
Yes. And at the end of the
But
day, nobody really knows for sure. You know what I mean?
right.
I believe in a higher power, but I could also make the argument, is there really? You know what I mean? Because nobody knows. But I tend to believe, yeah, there has to be. I mean, look at how unique we are. Look how unique the Earth is. You know, whether it's round or flat, whatever your belief is, and
Mhm.
just the incontric- I'm not even going to try that word because I'm going to butcher it. But the small details and what have you, like with
Mhm.
the plant life, the wildlife, whether it's freshwater, seawater, mountains, desert, everything. I mean, down to a little ant. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just
Mhm.
crazy. And so I don't know. I believe that there is something up there that created us, whether they call, if God has a real name like Joe, or if it's just
Mhm.
he goes by God. You know what I mean?
Well,
I don't
I
know.
think if we're going to be if I'm just being honest with you, Ghost, if there is God, God is definitely, he has no gender.
No.
It's God as God. God does not have genitalia. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But if I was going to control a population of people, I would probably convince them that God is a man. He has a huge 12-inch dong, and he will cast you into the lake of fire if you do something wrong. And you have to listen to me, and you have to read this book, and you have to do everything that's in this book. And if you stray even a little bit, you'll be cast into hell for eternity, where you'll burn and burn and burn, and there's no relief.
Right.
And everything you do and everything you say, he hears everything, and he sees everything, and he's judging you all the time. And when you die, that's it.
Yeah.
You're dead, and you're either in hell or you're in heaven. And if you fucked up this one lifetime, then you fucked up for the rest of eternity. And you can control people with that fear.
Oh yeah. And that you nailed it right on the head. It's fear based
Mind control.
respect and mind control. Yes. And I just don't, and I don't buy into it anymore. I come from a, a position, I said it last night, and I've said it many a time. I was a born again Christian. I was saved. I was baptized in the Susquehanna River in the middle of January. People thought I was nuts. And, I read the Bible cover to cover. I was, a pretty decently devout Christian. And one day, and I think it might have happened when I got baptized, just something clicked, but I didn't feel the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, but I felt something. And
Hmm.
it kind of started a slow, very slow trickle down, looking into and questioning different things, and at the end of the day, you'd have to question everything, even the very existence of God. I mean, if you don't
Hmm.
question shit, you're you're a sheep, you're dumb, and you're asleep. You know what I mean? You
Right.
have to. Don't take anything for face value.
No.
Even
Oh,
even
nothing.
any topic that we talk on my podcast or your podcast or any other podcast that people listen to, you know,
Hmm.
do your own due diligence and research it yourself. You know what I mean? I bring guests on because I don't have the time to do the research, and I get easily distracted and go down different rabbit holes. So it's nice to have someone like yourself come on, give this information, and then if I do have time, or others that are listening have time, they can start their journey into looking
Hmm.
into a lot of this stuff. And I don't know, it's a
Yeah,
beautiful
and I
thing.
mean, it's a great way to I mean, it's 2022. You don't have to go to the library. You can
No.
get a lot of the stuff on Google or wherever, and having guests on, and they've done their own research, or they've got on Google, or they've went down a rabbit hole, and they've, started a whole chain of research, and then they bring it to you on your doorstep. You get to absorb the information. Your listeners get to absorb the
Hmm.
information, and it's, in a way, podcasts are like a virtual library.
They are,
And you
because
get to choose what personalities you like.
Yeah.
Do you like Ghost Library or do you like Julia's Library or, Ryan's? And then you get to kind of dive into like each person's individual thoughts, feelings, and research, and you get to pick and choose what you want to listen to, which is great. I think it's wonderful.
Yes. And you nailed it on the head, because I come at things a very different way than you would, or like, for instance, Ryan. Like, Ryan and I had an interview that didn't go so well. We're not going to release it, and I did my part, and and he thought of me, with the topic. He's like, I want you to come on because you're kind of into this, more of a far out, maybe extraterrestrial. You have
Mhm.
no problem diving in and talking about that. And I did. I kind of tried to steer the conversation with the person, and just wasn't just
Mhm.
wasn't clicking, and it you could tell the person was just on for attention and what have you. And
Oh
yeah,
no.
and Ryan was just like, I don't know, I just don't buy it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't either. And it is what it is. But and he even said, I'm bringing you on because you're into this. You come from a different aspect. And he was right up front with the individual. He's like, I brought my buddy on. He comes at things differently, and he can pull some conversations out of you more than I could. I can get you to talk. You know what I mean? And some people, like Matt T, he from the Great Deception, he'll be the first to tell you. I think he's wrong, but he's like, I'm not a great interviewer. When he hosts roundtables and stuff like that, like the Monday Night Master Debaters, I think he's great. You know what I mean? Like, he has a gift. Like, he could have people on, and when he does, he's great. But he has it in his mind that he doesn't think he's that good at it, and I think he's wrong. I wish he would
I
have more
think he's
guests.
1,000,000% wrong because the first time I went on Monday Night Master Debaters, it was my first ever time going on, and he made me feel like so welcome and like
Yeah.
so, like he wanted me to be there. And I was like, nobody cares what I have to say. But he was like, no, Julia, like you have so much to share and you should start your own show. And we
Hmm.
believe in you and like go team. And I was like, yes, I'm going to do it. Like he encouraged me. I was like, he's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yes. And and I don't know. I just but at the but he also is super good, just like Ryan is, at doing their own research and hitting a
Mm,
topic and doing a deep dive in one. I mean, they are. I can't do that.
right.
I just can't. And I can't means I won't, because I know I'll get distracted and won't write
Yeah.
anything properly down. But
Mhm.
I, I love the debaters. I love when he has other people on for mini roundtables and have a discussion. And I don't know, maybe he will find that in himself. You know what I mean? I never
You
thought
know
I'd
what
be
I
a good
think you should
interviewer.
do, Ghost? I think you should do kind of like Talk at the Tavern, but like on a smaller scale, and just have you and like two other people come on and like just toss out topics,
Okay.
and you will learn that you know more than you think you do. Like when I was on the Master Debaters, we just got to talking about whatever, and I was like,
Hmm.
"Hey, do you guys remember that got milk thing?" And they were
Yeah.
like trying to force everybody to drink milk constantly.
Hmm.
And you know, it's a conspiracy theory. Milk
It
is
is.
not good for you.
No. No.
And it just came out of my mouth because I was like, school lunches were shit. And hey, do you guys remember that got milk thing? And then it
Yeah.
just ended up being like this whole conversation because you know more than you think you do. Like you have
Right.
topics just waiting to come out. I know you
Yeah.
guys
I
like
do. And when and you're right, with the tavern, I do kind of sit back and let other people's talk. I do chime in now and again, but it's me hosting a platform to get other podcasters together in order
Mhm.
to, maybe they can collaborate and work on projects together, and just get different ideas and hear different
Right,
people.
right.
And up and coming, I'm up and coming, and but still willing to pass anything on to help another person that was given to me. Ryan helped me, and there's others that give me advice, and I don't feel it's right for me to keep that to myself, because it was given to me for free out of kindness. So I'm going to pass that forward with anything I can, and if I don't know the answer, I'll point whoever in the right direction. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's just it's a beautiful thing. And the tavern, you get to meet new people and hear different, sides of what they might think. And you might have never heard their podcast, and someone be like, well, I'm going to check out their podcast, and maybe it'll give them some more listens and what have you. And I don't know,
I
I
think it's
I
a
just like it.
beautiful thing. I
I,
think it's beautiful because, like, for me, I'm brand new. I'm a newborn
mm-hmm.
podcaster. So any type of, talk at the tavern, whatever, I'm willing to, sit down and talk with people because no one really knows what I have to offer yet.
Right. And like I said, you're more than welcome to come on anytime. Um, we've sat down, done some, Zoom meetings to, hopefully get you
Mm,
some help and what have you. And I'm always down, when it comes time, if you want to use Audacity or whatever other audio editing, I'll help you. And if I can't help you, I'll make sure I reach out and find somebody that could help you. And you know what I mean?
yeah.
And you'll find anybody associated with the tavern or has ever been on the tavern are genuinely nice people and will,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
help you. You know what I mean? And you've reached out, hey, do you know anything about this? Absolutely. Good person, you have nothing to worry about. And, you know, and it's very understandable. You're coming at it from
Because
a
we're
female, you know what I mean? And
right.
there's creepers out there,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, and it's like, okay, are they just trying to like maybe want to come on because somehow they think they can eventually get in my pants or what? You know what I mean? You don't know because
Exactly.
women have to. It seems shitty, but have to think that way, and you
Yeah,
know,
and it's more for me like everyone that I've met, it feels like we're kind of like a family,
yep,
like,
absolutely.
so
Yeah, there's no
I wouldn't.
competition of, oh my God, they have more episodes or they had that
Mm-mm.
guest and I didn't. And it's like, well, yeah, they had that guest. Well, I can wait a few months and then maybe I'll reach out and have that guest on. You know what I mean? I don't need to do it
Yeah.
right away. And you'll find you'll start building a backlog of guests. And it's nice
Mhm.
because then like last week, I didn't have one interview during the week, which was kind of nice. It was a nice little break. Usually I have you know, at least 3 or 4 during the week and maybe 1 or 2 on the weekend or both. And I was like, wow, I don't know what to do with myself, but I was able to, kind of focus on, releasing an episode. And, we ended up having a Zoom meeting and doing that and working on some other sidebar bar stuff with, like YouTube and what have you. And it was like I said, it was nice to catch up and have that downtime a little bit. But if you think about it, and my biggest advice would be just release an episode a week.
I
Don't
was
go.
gonna say that. I was gonna say that because I released the first one about the OBGYNs and
Mhm.
I felt bad because I was like, no one but a woman is gonna listen to this
Oh, I'll
episode. So
listen to it.
okay. I got in my head and I was like, I have another episode that I want to release on Monday about Stanley Kubrick,
Mm,
but I don't I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there because I feel like that'll give people something more to listen to than just the OBGYN episode. So I went
right.
ahead and put both of them out in the same week. And every single person in my family was like, "Hey, I didn't even get a chance to listen to that first one before you." And I was like, "Yep, you're totally right. I need to slow down and just do like one a week for a little while
Yes.
and get like some episodes built up to,
Yep. Because you
having the reserve."
yep, because if you think, okay, say 1 week you did 4 interviews, okay? That's a month worth of content. You know what I mean? If you're
Mhm.
releasing it once a week. And it gives people because they're not only listening to your podcast, they're probably listening to others. And it's like, okay, oh, Julia released an episode, I can listen to this. And so releasing an episode on Wednesday, I can listen to that one. You know what I mean? And I normally
Mhm.
try to release mine on Thursdays. And for the Patreon, I'm gonna hopefully work on another talk at the tavern either tonight. Well, probably not tonight, but probably tomorrow, and get one of them out. And hopefully, my Patreon grows, and eventually, if you need help, down the road, getting a Patreon, and it was just something that Ryan came up with mainly because when you're recording 5+ hours of content, and you have somewhat older equipment, and you're kind of a perfectionist and you want the audio quality,
Mhm.
and it'll never be
Right.
perfect. You know what I mean? I'll listen back sometimes and hear it and preview it, and it's just like, man, I got to figure out how to tweak this or tweak that. And, for the
Right.
longest time, I was talking in the top of my microphone like this, and I didn't realize nobody could barely hear me. I was talking to my mic completely wrong, and,
Yeah,
that was something I passed on to you. Your microphone will have a sweet spot, you just got to
you
find it.
did.
And
And I practiced after we got done talking, I practiced and I was like, "Okay, I know exactly how far away I need to be. I know exactly what type of tone I need to be using because
yep.
I was screaming into it like this."
Yeah. And, it, I may come across like I'm talking very loud. I'm really not. I'm letting the microphone pick up my voice and talk, because if I wanted to talk at my normal voice, I'd be talking pretty loud and it would sound like shit, or I'd have to back up and then you get echo, and I'm not. I hate
Exactly.
that echo, and what have you. But it's just little things, and I don't know. Like I said, go for quality and not quantity. I understand where people want to get all these episodes out, and that they might have the mindset where, oh, look, I have 100 episodes out in like 6 months. Makes me look like I might be a bigger podcast, but they may be lacking in other areas, and
Nobody wants to listen to their shit though because they're shitty episodes.
right. And it's like,
No, no
I'm just
hate, but
yeah,
I'm just
no,
saying.
yeah, no hate, and it's like, no, I'm gonna sit here and focus. I have episodes in the bank for when I might have a week where I don't have anybody. You'll go through that, and I've never once, and maybe that's just the way I conduct myself, worried about getting guests on my show, because I just always feel like it'll happen when it happens. And now I have a couple that leads that I'm working on that I didn't think were actually going to come through, and hopefully they do, and it's topics I like. One's conspiracies about pretty much anything, and the other one's like natural foraging, with mushrooms and
Mm,
and
yeah, yeah.
common weeds in your yard that you can actually take instead of Rockefeller medicine. And I
Well,
stumbled upon both of these people on TikTok one night, and I was
yeah,
like, okay, I
I
got
was
to
gonna
figure out
say
how to do that. And they had an email. I just reached out and they got back, and I was just like, oh, cool. We'll set something up.
yes. I was gonna say, like, as a new person coming into the game, I'm most grateful for anyone who wants to just like help me out and come on and be a guest. I'm not gonna be like, I don't like you, so you can't sit with us. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like,
You
I'm
know,
just most grateful for
and it's
anyone
kind of
who
like what
wants
I
to
did
like
with that
help
guest
me.
with Ryan and I. You know what I mean?
Right.
I entertained it, and I, I took it for face value. I was kind and tried to do a good conversation and what have you. But at the end of the day, when it was all said and done, it was nothing that Ryan and I did. It was just shit because we were lied to. You know what I mean? We were led on, and you'll have
Mhm.
that. And he's like, "Do you want the audio?" I said, "Dude, you've been in this game longer than I have. If you're not fucking releasing the audio, I sure as fuck ain't releasing the audio." You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, "Oh, I'm not taking your sloppy seconds."
Yeah, no, no,
I don't
not
want
at
it.
all. But
Yeah, because I do feel like you remember when the Facebook and everything videos started getting real popular and everybody wanted to be a YouTube influencer
mhm,
and everybody wanted to have some special thing that they did.
yep,
And I went to hair school, so I do hair and makeup and stuff and I'm pretty good at it. I'm decent at it. And I talked to my husband one night and I was like, everybody's got like a makeup tutorial or everybody's got a hair tutorial and they're not even very good, but they have like thousands and thousands of subscribers.
right,
So maybe I could do it. And I was like, but I'm not like anything great or anything. And he was like, don't do it. It's like a flash in a pan. Like all these people who have channels, they're not going to make it. They've spent all this money on, you know, cameras and lights and
mhm,
this and they might release like 5 or 6 videos and nobody's watching them and I was like you're right. I'll find my niche one day.
exactly. And I
I
think
was not thinking it would be podcasting.
I never thought that either. I when I first got into podcasting, I have a good friend. He's been on the show a couple times, and I was asking him one summer, message. I was like, hey, give me some more ideas for some podcasts to listen to. And he's like, start your own. It's like, nah, dude, I couldn't start my own.
Mm.
Like, this is me doing a podcast and talking to people is the complete opposite thing I ever thought I would find myself doing. I never
Oh,
liked
me
talking
too.
to strangers. I don't like making conversation, with random people in public. Now I do. And it's brought me out of a shell. And it's funny because he told one other person to start their own podcast, and I hope his luck goes my way as well. But he told Tony Merkel to start the confessionals um,
Confessionals.
years ago,
Yeah.
and look where Tony is now. And I hope to be in his position within 5 years. I
Mhm.
seen how he put the hustle in 5 years, and now he doesn't have to work for the man. He can work for himself and do something that he actually likes and enjoys. And I want to be that. And I don't think necessarily if you're making money you're not a shill. It's just you know y- the, to do the editing and everything else, that's time, and,
Oh,
and
it's
and and
time
trying
and
to
it's
be your own booker and get guests. And there's just
mhm.
so, I mean, it's a nonstop. You're always
And it's
constantly
time away
grinding.
from your family,
Yes.
and it's just really time consuming. I think I spent like 5 hours of just my own personal time researching Stanley Kubrick stuff and watching interviews and like reading stuff and like watching documentaries to like put all my little episode together.
Yeah. And
And
people
then
don't
by the time
realize
I
what
got
goes
done
into
with
that.
it, well, yeah, and then by the time I got done with it, I was so proud of myself.
Exactly.
And I was like, this episode's gonna be fire. I'm gonna release like a 3-part series. And it got me excited about life. And if you can make money by doing research and giving information and having a good time, and you know, I think it's something you should be proud of and not a
Absolutely.
shill. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, you're listening to my shit. You like it, right?
Right.
Throw me a bone.
Yeah. It's $5 a month to join my Patreon to listen to the Talk of the Taverns, and I will eventually put more content behind that paywall. But $5, I mean, come on, that's now less than a gallon of gas. But each episode is almost 5 fucking hours, 5 plus hours long. Except for last night. Last night we went for maybe two or three, and it just kind of fizzled out. Went with the energy, whatever. It doesn't always have to be 5 hours, but it just,
Mhm.
if people knew
People
the
spend more money going out on their lunch hour at work
yes,
than,
or to
you know what I
Starbucks every morning.
Starbucks every morning. You spend 6, $7 on a coffee and you drink it and then it's over. Or you could have a month long of episodes and funny conversations and like cool shit to listen to.
Absolutely. But we'll wrap it up there. And I want you to get a hold of me. And I'd like to come on your show, and we can talk about whatever. And just if we're just shooting the shit, it doesn't matter. We can get into whatever. And
Mhm.
one more time, let people know where they can find you on Instagram. And I don't know if you started an email for your podcast yet. But
I haven't started an email yet. I'm contemplating it, but I haven't had too many guests yet, so it hasn't been uncontrollable to where I would need a separate email. But I'm on Instagram at cosmic.peach.podcast, and I am available wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple,
ooh,
everywhere.
yeah, good getting on Apple.
Yeah, finally the
Yes.
bag of bitches they
Oh,
are.
they are so horrible to play with. If
I
I had
had
a
to change
nightmare.
my cover art.
Yeah, and you
Did I
know what I
tell you
mean?
that?
Yep.
They were
Yeah,
like, "Oh, this is an unacceptable, the quality, this and that. It's needs to be so many pixels and this and that." And I was like, "Well, fuck y'all. What do you
yeah,
want me to do?" And they were like, "Choose from our accepted images." And I was like, "Do you have any peaches?" And then I
yeah.
just picked one and I was like, "Fuck y'all. I don't care.
And
If they're
eventually
going to
down,
listen to it, they're going to listen to it,
yeah,
regardless of my cover art."
and down the road, you might have a fan, or, come on, or a fan reach out through Instagram. That's how I got my logo art, was through
Mhm. Hey
someone that,
y'all, hit me up.
yeah, reached out. And said, you want to collaborate? You want to, design something? And then she's like, well, I don't want my name put out there, but you can use it. And we've been trying to hook up to get her on the show and what have you. But long
Mhm.
story short, my listeners know this. Big Tool fan. She actually worked with Alex Gray, who does all of Tool's
Oh
album
my
art.
god.
So it does have a slight connection to Tool and,
Mm.
and My Third Eye and what have you. And then, New York Patriot, he came up with my intro. I kind of told him a little bit what I wanted. And, I mean, hit him up. He's a nice guy. If he has time, he'll do it. And then I had Nosy on, and he gave me permission and the rights to use his song "Batshit" for my outro, and it's kind of a
Hey.
conspiracy, minded, song and what have you, because he didn't really have time to produce a full song for just the show, with
Mhm.
working and taking care of two
Oh
kids and
yeah,
and trying
yeah.
to do that on the side. But he did give me a personal poem that was in the episode that he came up with on his own and what have you. And anybody out there, go check Nosy's. If you're into hip hop and especially independent hip hop, give him a listen. Dude gives two middle fingers at his addiction that and recovery that he's come 5 years clean now off of heroin. So and now I have
That's awesome.
yeah, and now I have another uh independent uh hip hop artist reached out to me after that was released, wanting to come on. So hopefully we can hook something up with that. And by the now it won't be by the time this is released that they would hear that, because this will be released before that. But
Right.
anyway, thank you, Julia,
It'll
for
be
coming
something
on.
for them to look forward to.
Yes, absolutely. And if you need any help, any references on getting guests, hit me up. I'll do the best I can or point you in the right direction to get you something. And again, thank you for coming on and just getting the first touch of Da Vinci. And I think the next episode, I think hopefully we'll get into a little bit more of the conspiracy, and we'll get down some rabbit holes and some
You
tangents on
better
that.
believe it.
So you enjoy your night. And for my guests, thank you for listening. And remember, think for yourself.